In a country divided by silence, one man chose to sing, not for fame, not for glory, but for truth. His name was Hachalu Hundessa, a boy from Ambo, who turned pain into power, a prisoner who became a poet, a singer whose voice became a revolution. When others bowed their heads, he raised his fist. When fear ruled the streets, his lyrics marched with the people. This is not just the story of a musician. This is the story of a movement, a voice they tried to silence, but couldn't. This is not just a story about music. It's about courage, about identity, and a voice that stood tall in the face of fear. He didn't just sing, he spoke the truth. From the prison cells of Ambo to the stadiums of Addis Ababa, his voice carried the dreams of a people. This is the story of Hachalu Hundessa, the artist who became a revolution. Hachalu Hundessa was born in 1986 in the town of Ambo, west of Addis Ababa, a region rich with culture, yet often forgotten in the political corridors of power. He grew up in a time of silence, when speaking your identity could get you jailed. At just 17, Hachalu was arrested for participating in a protest. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison. But behind bars, something was born. A voice, a mission. It was in prison that Hachalu began to compose songs that would later echo through a nation. Upon his release, Hachalu didn't remain silent. His voice was sharp, his message uncompromising. Songs like Sanyi Imuti, the lineage of kings, challenged the narratives of Ethiopia's rulers. Malan Jira, a haunting reflection of Oromo pride and pain, struck a chord far beyond his hometown. For millions, Hachalu was more than a singer. He was a symbol of resistance, a poet of the people. At a time when many artists avoided politics, Hachalu ran toward it. Hachalu Hundessa wasn't just a musician, he was a movement. His lyrics were filled with fire, questioning injustice, demanding truth, and reclaiming identity. In every performance, he reminded his people who they were and what they deserved. The youth known as the Kiru carried his songs like weapons, marching to the rhythm of revolution. Hachalu became a threat not just to the system, but to the silence that had buried so many stories for generations. In his music, the Oromo people heard their history and their hope. Behind the powerful voice was a humble man. Hachalu was a devoted husband and father, a family man who found peace in small moments, far from the spotlight. To those who knew him personally, he was kind, thoughtful, and deeply rooted in his faith. He believed in giving back to his people, not just through music, but through action. He supported youth programs, cultural preservation, and always spoke up for those with no microphone. Despite the fame, he stayed grounded. Even when the world began to listen, Hachalu never forgot who he was, or where he threats online abuse. Warning to stay silent. But Hachalu refused in his final interviews. He spoke openly about history, identity, and justice. He said, "If I am silenced, the truth will still remain." Some called him a troublemaker, others a hero. One thing was clear, he was fearless, but even he knew the danger was real. On the night of June 29, 2020, Ethiopia fell into silence, Hachalu Hundessa was shot dead in Addis Ababa. A nation cried out. His murder sent shockwaves across Ethiopia and around the world. Protesters filled the streets, some marched in grief, others in rage. Internet was shut down, hundreds were killed or arrested, but no silence could erase what he had created. They tried to stop his voice, but they only amplified it. Though Hachalu's life was cut short, his voice continues to rise. In every street corner where a child sings his lyrics, in every young artist who dares to speak out, in every Oromo heart that beats with pride, Hachalu lives on. His music is studied, his words are quoted, his image stands beside other icons of freedom and resistance. Hachalu didn't just change music, he changed people. He reminded them of their worth. He reminded them they were not alone. He sang for truth. He sang for justice. And when the world tried to silence him, he became eternal. Hachalu Hundessa was more than a musician. He was the soundtrack of a struggle, a voice of identity, a fire that still burns. So long as his people remember, so long as his songs are sung, Hachalu lives.